Greetings. This is Dr. Monica. I am so excited about the upcoming M4 Men Message Mission Movement Summit. It's a virtual summit that's taking place September 22nd through the 24th. And if you've been following me, you know that I've been calling for speakers. The applications have been overwhelming. The response has been overwhelming. These men are submitting their applications and stepping up and sharing their trials, their truths, their triumphs, and their tears. And let me say this before I tell you a little bit about this summit. It is so easy and comfortable for us to be around people that are like us, that think like us, that believe like us. It is uncomfortable when we are around people who don't think like us, who don't believe what we believe. And many times we try to impose our beliefs, our ways, our thoughts, our truths on others. And I have been saying that men have been treated unfairly and given responsibilities that have been passed on generationally, religiously, by society, and simply because they're male. There are expectations of men simply because they are men. However, is this fair? Is this right? Who created these rules? Are those rules flawed? I'm going to say that everything that we know and believe and think is flawed. There are just some things that are not absolute, that we know 100%, other than we are all going to die. Anything else between the time that we're born and the time that we leave this expression of life, we don't know. So let's be careful with judging people, with trying to get them to conform to our ways, our beliefs, because it's creating more division than unity. It's spewing hate, not love. And I say that because if you heard me speak and if you know about my survey, the top two areas where people struggle in and deal with when it comes to being wounded, church hurt and family hurt, or church wounds and family wounds. Those are topics in my book. I'm going to reach for this book right now for those who are not familiar with it. I guess I should have had it out. But Wounds of Wisdom. In my book, I wrote this book almost 3 years ago. As you see, yes, that's my eye. Yes, those are my tears. And I talk about 7 different wounds: friend wounds, workplace wounds, church wounds, family wounds, marriage and divorce wounds, business wounds, and children wounds. There's something in this book that we all can relate to. Not because I wrote this book, but this book is the catalyst for the T4 Trials, Triumphs, Truths, and Tears Summit, as well as the M4 Men's Message Movement Summit. And the T4 Summit birthed this summit. It's about men with a message, on a mission, creating a movement. And these men are opening up about topics. Here are some of the topics that these men are going to talk about: mental health, financial setbacks, sexual identity, shame, homosexuality, suicidal ideation, homelessness, alcoholism, incarceration, gangs, guilt, embarrassing, parenting children with special needs, relationships, and career, and much more. You're going to find out when you hear directly from these men how these areas have impacted them, how they've struggled, how they've hurt, how they've shown human side, how they have been castrated, so to speak, disrespected by society, disrespected by family and friends, and especially in the church. I encourage you. Registration is going to open next week, and I will start to unveil some of these men and their stories. In the meantime, I am thinking about continuing or having a second summit because of the applications that are coming in. If men want to speak their truths, ladies and gentlemen, we need to step up and hear their truths. Hear their truths so we can truly unify and truly live in love, not hate, not division, not in what we think we should believe, not because, some things will never touch you. But when and your beliefs about those things are rooted in how you were raised, whether passed on generationally, whether it was passed through your religion. But when you are faced with those very situations that have taught you to dislike that, to taught you to hate that, and that becomes your reality or somebody you love's reality, then you start to shift things. I believe that wounds happen because there's wisdom in every single wound. And sometimes life has to be shaken up so that we can see the reality and truths and the flaws in some of the things that we've been passed down, our traditions. So go over to drmonicajackson.com/M4 Summit. Follow me. We will be open registration. And I'm going to make sure that you can also receive this book, part of the registration. I think I'm going to add that in. And the reason why is because 3 years later, this book is still impacting. This book is still helping people come to their realities and their truths. This is unsilencing the silence, giving voice to the voiceless so that they know that they're not alone, because so many of us have walked alone and felt alone because we went against the norm, what was expected by society, family, and everyone else. And we're expected to accept the brunt of those wounds and those pains. But who's looking out for our pain? So, ladies and gentlemen, get ready for this M4 Men Message Mission Movement. Ladies, you need to register for this because these men are bringing it like never before. I don't think there's anything like this, and it's time for us to truly hear what these men are going to say from their hearts, not from their heads, because we need to learn to listen, because we haven't listened. If we've listened, our men would be different, our women would be different, our families would be different, our churches would be different, our workplaces would be different, our businesses would be different. Let's learn to live and walk in truth so we all can triumph.